In the depths of the sprawling city of New York, there was a young woman named Lily. Despite her delicate and attractive appearance, Lily was a seasoned detective working for the city's most elite detective agency. One night, while working on a particularly gruesome case, Lily was called to a dark alley in the heart of the city. The alley was known for its eerie aura and the strange occurrences that took place there. As Lily approached the scene, she noticed a small, run-down building that seemed to be the source of the disturbance. Lily slowly made her way towards the building, her hand hovering near her holster, ready to draw her weapon at a moment's notice. She pushed open the door and stepped inside, only to be greeted by a scene that would haunt her forever. The room was filled with strange symbols and incantations written on the walls in what appeared to be human blood. In the center of the room stood a figure shrouded in darkness. Lily cautiously approached the figure, her hand now firmly gripping her weapon. As she got closer, the figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a figure unlike anything she had ever seen before. It was tall and lanky, with skin as pale as a ghost and eyes that glowed like molten gold. Lily felt a chill run down her spine as the creature started to speak in a voice that was both ethereal and menacing. "Detective Lily," it hissed, "you have been chosen to solve the ultimate mystery. You have been chosen to face your greatest fear." Lily's heart was racing as she stepped back, her hand reaching for her weapon. Suddenly, the creature disappeared into thin air, leaving her alone in the room. She quickly turned to leave, only to find that the door was now blocked by a wall of impenetrable darkness. She was trapped. Over the next few hours, Lily was subjected to a series of terrifying hallucinations, each more vivid and disturbing than the last. She saw visions of her deepest fears, of her loved ones dying, and of her own death. She screamed and fought, but the hallucinations only became stronger. As the sun began to rise, Lily finally emerged from the building, her mind and soul forever scarred by the horrors she had witnessed. She spent the rest of her days chasing the truth behind the strange occurrences in that dark alley, never fully able to shake the fear that had taken root within her. Years later, Lily's legacy would become the stuff of legends, her name forever synonymous with the horror that lurked in the shadows of the city. But for those who knew the truth, her story was a reminder of the dangers that lay beyond the veil of our reality, waiting to consume all those who dared to venture too close. As time passed, the story of Lily's experience in the dark alley spread throughout the city, gaining more and more notoriety. People whispered that the building was cursed and that those who entered would never return the same. Despite the warnings, there were still those who were drawn to the alley, seeking to prove the legends false. One night, a group of thrill-seekers decided to enter the building, hoping to capture evidence of the strange happenings and make a name for themselves. They entered the building, laughing and joking, armed with their cameras and flashlights. But as they delved deeper into the building, the laughter quickly died away. The group was soon beset by hallucinations, each more terrifying than the last. They saw visions of their own deaths, of the city being consumed by darkness, and of creatures beyond their wildest nightmares. The group was unable to escape the building and was never seen again. After the disappearance of the thrill seekers, the city officials finally took notice and cordoned off the building, declaring it off limits to the public. But even now, many years later, there are still those who dare to venture into the alley, seeking to uncover the truth behind the legends and the strange occurrences that took place within the cursed building. For those who are brave enough to confront their fears, the building remains a symbol of the unknown, a warning that there are things in this world that cannot be explained and that sometimes the truth is far more terrifying than any legend. But for those who succumb to their fears, the building will forever remain a tomb, a reminder that sometimes seeking the truth can have dire consequences. Now we have onto our horror story. Let's hear that. In a small, remote town nestled deep in the mountains, there lived a young woman named Ava. Ava was a reclusive individual, preferring the company of books and her own thoughts to the company of others. She lived alone in a small cabin on the edge of town, surrounded by dense forest. One night, as Ava was sitting by the fireplace, lost in thought, she heard a strange noise coming from outside. She cautiously approached the window, peering out into the darkness. To her horror, she saw a figure standing just beyond the trees, its eyes shining with an otherworldly light. Ava immediately bolted the door and tried to calm herself, telling herself that it was just her imagination playing tricks on her. But as the night wore on, the noises outside only grew louder and more persistent. She finally mustered up the courage to approach the door, her hand shaking as she reached for the handle. As she opened the door, the figure stepped forward, revealing itself to be a creature unlike anything Ava had ever seen before. Its skin was a sickly pale, its eyes were dark and void of any emotion. It reached out a bony hand towards Ava, its fingers elongated into razor-sharp claws. Ava screamed and stumbled back, her hand reaching for the fireplace poker. She swung wildly at the creature, but her weapon passed harmlessly through its body. The creature seemed to be made of shadows, its form shifting and changing as it approached. Ava tried to flee, but the creature was always one step ahead, blocking her escape. She was trapped, her only hope being to find a way to defeat the creature and banish it back to the darkness from whence it came. She spent the rest of the night frantically searching for a way to defend herself, her mind racing with fear and desperation. Just as the sun began to rise, she stumbled upon an ancient tome hidden away in the depths of her library. The book was filled with spells and incantations, the knowledge of which was said to have been passed down from generation to generation of her family. Ava frantically began to study the book, her hands shaking as she read the ancient words. As she spoke the incantation, she could feel a strange power flowing through her, filling her with a sense of strength and determination. She stepped forward, confronting the creature once more. This time, however, she was no longer afraid. With a fierce determination in her eyes, she recited the incantation, her voice rising to a crescendo. The creature screamed, a sound that shook the very foundations of the cabin. It began to thrash and convulse, its form growing more and more unstable. With a final burst of light, the creature was gone, vanished back to the shadows from whence it came. Ava emerged from the cabin, her body shaking with adrenaline. She had faced her fear and emerged victorious, but as she looked out into the darkness, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, knowing that there were things in this world that could not be explained, and that sometimes the unknown was far more frightening than any monster. This story ends here, and we have another story. In the heart of a sprawling metropolis, there stood a towering skyscraper known as the Black Tower. The building was shrouded in mystery, its dark glass windows reflecting the city skyline like a mirror. No one knew what lay within its walls, and few were brave enough to find out. The building had a reputation for being cursed, a place where the darkness seemed to seep out of the walls and into the streets below. People whispered of strange noises that could be heard coming from the building late at night, and of the eerie shadows that could be seen moving across the windows. Despite the rumors and legends, there was one man who was determined to uncover the truth behind the Black Tower. His name was John, a seasoned journalist with a passion for uncovering the unknown. He had heard the stories of the building and was determined to get to the bottom of them. John's journey took him deep into the heart of the city, to the Black Tower itself. As he approached the building, he could feel the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. The building seemed to loom over him, its shadow spreading out across the city like a dark shroud. John entered the building, his heart pounding in his chest. The lobby was dark and empty, the only sound being the echo of his footsteps on the polished marble floor. He took the elevator to the top floor, his hand shaking as he pushed the button for the penthouse suite. As the elevator doors opened, John stepped into a world unlike anything he had ever seen before. The room was vast, its high ceiling stretching up into the darkness above. The walls were adorned with strange symbols and markings, the meaning of which was unknown to John. In the center of the room, there stood a large desk, its surface cluttered with strange objects and artifacts. Behind the desk sat a figure, its face obscured by shadows. John approached the figure, his heart racing. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice trembling. The figure spoke, its voice cold and emotionless. "I am the keeper of the Black Tower," it said. "I am the one who watches over the darkness that lurks within these walls." John was shocked, his mind racing. "What do you mean?" he asked, taking a step forward. The keeper of the Black Tower rose from its seat, its form growing larger and more imposing. "The Black Tower is a gateway," it said. "A gateway to a world beyond our own, a world of darkness and fear." John felt a cold hand wrap around his heart. "What kind of world?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The keeper of the Black Tower stepped forward, its eyes glowing with an unearthly light. "A world where the monsters of our darkest nightmares roam free," it said. "A world where the line between reality and nightmare is blurred beyond recognition." John stumbled back, his hand reaching for the door. But as he turned to run, he realized that the door was gone, replaced by a solid wall of darkness. He was trapped in the Black Tower with the Keeper of the Darkness. The creature approached, its form growing larger with each step. John screamed, his voice echoing through the chamber as he was consumed by the darkness. Years passed, and the Black Tower remained shrouded in mystery, its secrets locked away in the shadows. But even now, there are those who dare to venture into the building, seeking to unlock the secrets that lie within. For those brave enough to confront the darkness, the Black Tower remains a symbol of the unknown, a warning that there are things in this world that are best left untouched. But there are others, those who are drawn to the darkness, who seek to embrace it, to become one with it. They say that those who enter the Black Tower and survive come out changed, their minds forever scarred by the horrors they have witnessed. For years, the city whispered of strange disappearances, of people who had entered the Black Tower and never returned. And still, there are those who are drawn to the building, seeking the truth about what lies within. One such person was a young woman named Rachel. She was a fearless journalist, with a thirst for knowledge and a desire to uncover the truth about the Black Tower. Despite the warnings and rumors, she was determined to enter the building and uncover its secrets. Rachel entered the Black Tower, her heart pounding in her chest. The lobby was dark and empty, the only sound being the echo of her footsteps on the polished marble floor. She took the elevator to the top floor, her hand shaking as she pushed the button for the penthouse suite. As she stepped off the elevator and into the penthouse, Rachel was met with a sight that would haunt her for the rest of her life. The room was filled with strange, twisted creatures, their forms a mixture of human and animal. They were locked in an endless dance, a macabre display of the horrors that lay within the Black Tower. Rachel stumbled back, her hand reaching for the door. But as she turned to run, she realized that the door was gone, replaced by a solid wall of darkness.